I learned something early. The loudest men explain. I chose silence. I don't tell my side of the story. I let time decide. Truth walks slower than rumors, but it always arrives. I've been misunderstood on purpose. Let them think what they want. A man who knows his reason doesn't argue with the noise. No defense, no excuse. I'm a man who never explains. I carry the weight, I take the blame. If I'm right, time will say. If I'm wrong, I'll pay. I'm a man who never explains. Silence stitched into my veins. I don't speak to be understood. I stand because I should. They ask questions I don't answer. They want reasons I won't give. I've learned peace costs less when you don't explain how you live. Every word can be a weapon. Every pause can be a shield. I let silence do the damage. I let patience seal the deal. No debate, no distraction. I'm a man who never explains. I let results remain. I don't chase forgiveness. I don't trade truth for pain. I'm a man who never explains. No witness, no parade. What's built in quiet hours doesn't need to be displayed. If you don't understand me, that's fine. Understanding was never the goal. Standing was. I'm a man who never explains. I'm a man who never explains. I'm a man who never explains. I stand.
I reached a point where explaining stopped and standing was enough. I I've told my story too many times to rooms that never listen. I watched my words fall to the floor and learn to live without them. Understanding costs too much when silence keeps me whole. I don't need agreement. I need control. No defense, no correction. I don't need to be understood. I know who I am. I don't need your clarity. I already stand. I don't need to be understood. No reasons left to show. What's built inside my quiet doesn't need to be known. They ask for explanation like they're owed my truth. They want the parts that hurt me. I learned to refuse. Peace came when I stopped talking. Power came when I stayed. A man doesn't lose his meaning when his silence is paid. No approval, no reply. I don't need to be understood. I don't need a side. I carry my decisions and let the rest decide. I don't need to be understood. No witness, no defense. If you don't see me clearly, that's not my consequence. moment and never look blind. I don't need to be understood. I don't need to be understood. I don't need to be is quiet, too quiet, while I'm still standing, holding everything. Awake while the city sleeps, my bones already tired. Every promise sits on my back like unpaid fire. I don't ask why it's heavy, I don't ask when it ends. I'll just bend my knees a little and carry it again. I don't drop it, I don't run. The world sleeps on my shoulders while I stay awake. I hold tomorrow together with everything I break. The world sleeps on my shoulders, no prayers, no relief, just a man and all the weight he was never meant to keep. They dream inside warm rooms while I stand in the rain. They call it fate, they call it duty, I just call it pain. I learned silence from survival, stillness from the fight. A man becomes a pillar when no one holds him right. I don't sleep, I stand. The world sleeps on my shoulders every night, every day. I carry what they forget, I carry what they throw away. The world sleeps on my shoulders, I don't make a sound. If I fall, the world keeps dreaming. If I stand, no one looks around. If I let it drop, everything shakes. So I stay awake, so the world feels safe.
when the lights go out and the world goes quiet. That's when I exist behind closed doors. I wake before the city breeze, put my face on like armor. I don't talk about the nights that taught me how to suffer. I carry hours in my chest that never learned to rest. A man don't cry for help, he survives the test. I don't explain, I don't complain. I'm the man behind closed doors. I bleed where nobody knows. I carry weight I never chose. I stand alone, I stay composed. They see the work, they take the gain. They never feel the cost. They call it strength when you don't break. They don't count what you lost. I learned to smile through the storm, to keep my voice down low. A man becomes invisible when he does what he's supposed to. I don't shout, I don't cry. I'm the man behind closed doors. Silent nights, loaded soul. I give my all to keep the peace, then bleed alone in the cold. They don't see the man when the door is closed. They only see what he provides. If I disappear into this room, this is where I survive. I'm the man behind closed doors. I'm the man behind closed doors. I'm the man behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, I stay. Behind closed doors, I pay. The room was quiet, but nothing inside me was. A quiet room full of battles, no noise, no sign of war. Just thoughts lined up like soldiers at at the back of every door. I sat alone with consequences that never learned to sleep. Some fights don't need an enemy, they just need you to keep. No movements, no sound. A quiet room full of battles. I fought them on my own. No scars you could point your finger at, just damage carved in bone. A quiet room full of battles. No flags, no victory. Some wars don't end in triumph, they end in clarity. I argued with my patience, I wrestled with my past. I learned that hesitation is a wound that heals last. Every choice felt heavier when no one saw the cost. A man can win the silence and still feel what he lost. No audience, no relief. A quiet room full of battle, where quitting feels like rest, but discipline keeps standing when comfort makes its test. A quiet room full of battle, I learned to stay inside. Some men don't leave the war zone, they just learn where to hide. The loudest wars are the ones you survive alone. No medals, just restraint. gave everything without asking if it would return. I learned your silence by heart. Before you learned my name, I stayed when it was empty. You left before the flame. I loved you in the waiting, in the spaces you ignored. I carried all the feeling you never picked up for. No balance, no reply. I loved without being loved back. No promise, no demand. I gave you what I had in me. You never held my hand. I love without being loved back. And still I stayed upright. Some men don't leave the table even when there's no invite. You call it understanding, I called it sacrifice. You rested in my patience. I paid the quiet price. I don't regret the giving. I regret the delay. It took my endurance for a reason to stay. No blame, no plea. I loved without being loved back, and learned what that can do. Love teaches men in silence what not
Not every loss is loud. Some losses teach you restraint. A man can love completely and still walk away intact.
I learned this the hard way. Respect isn't asked for, it's endured. I didn't speak when they doubted me. I worked while they slept. I let my name stay quiet while my spine learned respect. I stood in rooms that ignored me. I stayed when others ran. I didn't raise my voice, I raised the weight I can. No shouting, no demand. Respect is earned in silence, not in words, not in claim. You don't hear a man becoming, you just feel it when he stays. Respect is earned in silence. Through the nights you survive, they don't see the cost you pay until they need your spine. They laughed when I said nothing, called my calm a disguise. They didn't know restraint is where real power hides. I learned timing from pressure, patience from delay. A man who knows his value doesn't rush to be displayed. No explanation, no defense. Respect is earned in silence, in the way you don't show, in the way you carry storms without letting them overflow. Respect is earned in silence. No applause, no reward. When the room finds They didn't notice the foundation until the wall stood tall. Silence built everything. They're standing on. Respect is earned in silence. Respect is earned in silence. Respect is earned in silence. I stay. I used to wait for footsteps that never came. I kept the door unlocked for years, like hope was something old. I memorized the sound of silence and learned to live alone. I set the table for forgiveness. I poured another glass, but waiting turned to habit, and habit couldn't last. No return, no signal. I leave the light on for no one. I turn that chapter closed. If you couldn't find me then, you won't find me when I'm whole. I leave the light on for no one. No shadow at my door. I stopped confusing loneliness for something worth hoping for. showed me clearly what courage really lacks. Some doors aren't meant for knocking, some lights aren't meant to stay. A man learns when to let go and when to walk away. No regret, no blame. I leave the light on for no one, no name upon the frame. I made peace with empty rooms, and silence took its place. I leave the light on for no one, not even for the past. If you needed darkness to return, you stayed away too fast. Waiting isn't loyalty when it costs your spine. Some men stop standing still and call that crossing the line. Some men run from storms. I was built to carry them. I felt the pressure early, before I knew my name. Thunder in my breathing, rain inside my veins. While others look for shelter, I learned to stand still. The sky didn't ask permission, it just tested my will. I don't bend, absorb. I was built to carry storms, not to break, not to run. I hold the sky on my shoulders till the damage is done. I was built to carry storms, every night, every fall. If the world needs something standing, I was built to carry storms. I walk through endless weather with no roof, no relief. Learn strength isn't muscle, it's how long you keep your feet. They ask how I stay standing when the ground won't hold. I tell them storms respect what refuses to fold. I don't collapse, I remain. I was built to carry storms. Let them hit, let them roar. I don't fight the lightning, I endure the war. I was built to carry storms, every scar and fall. If something has to stay upright, I was built to carry storms. The storm doesn't ask if you're ready, it just arrives. So I became something that could survive it. I was built to carry storms. I was built to carry storms. Carry storm. Still storming. I didn't stop bleeding, I stopped letting it show. I learned to bleed quietly, where no one ever stayed. I I stitched myself together with promises I made. I smiled through the pressure, I worked through the pain. I learned early silence keeps dignity intact. No signal, no sound. I learned to bleed quietly, no hands around my chest. Some wounds don't ask for healing, they teach you how to stand. I learned to bleed quietly and still carry the load. A man doesn't scream for mercy when he's learned the code. They never saw the damage because I kept it clean. I learned to fold my weakness between discipline. Pain became a language I spoke without a sound. I didn't need understanding, just solid enough ground. No witness, no relief. I learned to bleed quietly and keep my hands steady. I carried storms inside my ribs until my frame was ready. I learned to bleed quietly, no drama, no display. Some men don't heal in public, they survive their way. There was no moment, no applause, just silence. I didn't change in front of mirrors, I changed in empty rooms. Where nights were long and choices stayed too soon. I learned to swallow disappointment before I learned my name. I learned the cost of standing before I learned the game. No witnesses, no sound. No one heard me become a man. There was no one there. I carried weight in silence till my spine was strong enough to bear. No one heard me become a man. No hands to shake. I lost pieces of myself for strength I had to make. They see the man I am today. They never saw the word. They never saw the boy inside, learning how not to hurt. I broke quietly, rebuilt alone, with no advice, no guide. A man is forged when no one loves to breathe, stays by his side. No lessons, no applause. No one heard me become a man. No record, no proof, just years stacked on my shoulders and truth pressed into youth. No one heard me become a man. It happened in the dark, when survival turned to discipline and weakness learned its mark. Men aren't born in celebration, they're built in isolation. While the world is busy sleeping, something hardens in the I gave without counting the cost, like strength was something old. I carried a weight that wasn't mine and called it being grown. I lost the parts that spoke too loud, the ones that needed proof. I learned that silence doesn't break, it sharpens what is true. No applause, no return. I gave, I lost, I stayed. When leaving was easier, I stood inside the damage till my spine grew steadier. I gave, I lost, I stayed, a witness to the fight. Some men don't win the moment, they just last the night. They say I should have walked away, like staying was a flaw. They never felt responsibility, dig into their jaw. I didn't stay for gratitude, I stayed to keep my name. A man can lose almost everything and still protect his frame. No excuses, no regret. I gave, I lost, I stayed, and learned what that can do. Endurance isn't weakness, it's choosing to see through. I gave, I lost, I stayed. No medals, no parade, just a man who kept his ground when comfort tried to fade. Staying isn't fear when it costs you sleep. Some men don't run from storms, they let them cut deep. And I'm still here.
These scars
They don't cry, they don't ask. I didn't walk away untouched, I didn't come out clean. Every line across my skin is where I've been. I didn't beg when it hurt, I didn't fold when it burned. Pain stayed long enough to teach me what I learned. No mercy, no regret. Scars don't ask for mercy, they stay and they remind. What didn't kill me stayed with me and hardened up my spine. Scars don't ask for mercy, they don't need to be healed. They're proof I stood in the fire and never chose to kneel. They see the mark but not the wall. They guess but never know what it costs to keep your ground when everything says go. I'll wear my damage quietly, like armor under skin. A man who's tasted breaking doesn't fear it happening again. No apology, no excuse. Scars don't ask for mercy, they don't speak, they don't plead. They live beneath the silence where the real men bleed. Scars don't ask for mercy, no pity in their tone. If pain is the price of standing tall, then the debt is already on. I didn't survive to be forgiven, I survived to remain. If you've never been cut this deep, you wouldn't understand the strength in pain.
no crown, no throne, still standing. I walk through rooms with no applause, my name never carved in stone. I rule the weight I carry home, a king without a throne. I learn command from discipline, not from power, not from fame. I bow to nothing but the cost of holding my own name. No witnesses in the war. I'm a king without a throne. I stand on what I've paid. No kingdom, no applause, just the debts that I've made. I'm a king without a throne. I don't need to be known. I rule the dark, I rule myself. A king without a throne. Sleep easy under borrowed flags while I hold a line alone. My victories don't make the news, they live inside my bones. I don't speak of what I've lost, I don't count what never grew. A man don't rise by being seen, he rises by what he chooses through. No crown, no cheers. I'm a king without a throne, built from dust and weight. I don't rule men, I rule the night. I master how I wait. I'm a king without a throne. Every scar my goal. If silence is the price of strength, then silence is what I hold. If I fall, no bells will ring. If I stand, no songs are sung. But kings are born in quiet rooms when there's no one left to run. I'm a king